We know that national parks like this one are one of the best ways to escape the crowds and the noise of the city. But increasingly, they're starting to feel just as congested as those urban centers that you're trying to leave behind. Here's a look at what Banff is beginning to look like year-round. This is a trail. This is a peaceful trail heading up in the mountains. Visitor numbers are surging. Policymakers are now trying to decide, do they increase development to accommodate all the visitors or limit access to prioritize conservation? With a closer look at this debate, I'm joined this morning from Halifax by Claire Jane Bly. She's the instructor of recreation management at Dalhousie University. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
So during peak season in the summer, Parks Canada notes that about 900 people are able to snag one of those coveted parking spots at Moraine Lake. Everybody remembers this lake. This is the one that used to be on the back of the 20. 5,000 vehicles are turned away every year. This year, they have banned private vehicles altogether. What do you think of that decision?
Yeah, so Moraine Lake and Banff National Park in particular have seen increases of almost 30% over the last 10 years. But the good news is our parks are able to accommodate people. We want to welcome people. That we have a challenge when it comes to personal vehicles. So we have a car problem, not a people problem in our parks. And implementing the shuttle system and limiting the amount of vehicles that go up to the parking lot at Moraine Lake is a very effective tool that's actually going to allow more people to access the lake and to access the trails and the beautiful vistas and experiences within the park and specifically at Moraine Lake.
That's part of the problem, though, isn't it? That as we go to these parks, and I know I'll point out Banff in particular, I mean, you can barely walk through some of the trails during peak season. Isn't that the most enjoyable way to enjoy the park, to take in nature?
Yeah, so every visitor is going to have a different expectation or interest in what they're looking for. And of course, Banff is one of our busiest sites in the entire country. So you really have to consider, what experience are you looking for when you're visiting a park, a protected area across the country? We are so fortunate in Canada to have amazing parks and protected areas. And we've got wonderful mountains and lakes all over. It doesn't have to be Banff. It doesn't have to be the busiest park in the country. So, I think we have a great supply of parks, and it's a question of, are we informing Canadians about those amazing places for them to visit?
But everybody wants that selfie at the bottom of Lake Louise where you take that picture and send it out. Alberta's Minister of Forest, Parks and Tourism, Todd Loewen, argues that instead of shuttles, like we were just talking about, Parks Canada should focus on building larger parking lots. Why not simply expand the infrastructure to accommodate this increase in visitors?
Sure. So we have to take a long-term view. We have to think about the fact that if parks are seeing an increase in visitation now, who's to say they aren't going to continue to see that increase in visitation? So only expanding the parking lot is a very short-term view of visitor use management. We want to take that long-term, holistic and connected view. We also need to balance ecological integrity. Parks have a dual mandate of welcoming visitors and welcoming Canadians while also protecting the natural environment that these parks are there to preserve.
Let's talk about marketing. Canada, we know, as you've mentioned, is home to hundreds of beautiful provincial and national parks. The vast majority of visitors, however, descend on only a few of them, like Banff. What role could marketing have on other parks to alleviate some of this pressure and show people, hey, there's some really beautiful spots a little less crowded?
Yeah, I think park agencies across the country have a real opportunity to use tools like social media or third-party apps to help them inform visitors of all the different places, but also inform visitors of peak times in particular places so that you know in advance that maybe Moraine Lake is not the choice today, but that Parks Canada and specifically Banff, let's just use that as our example, has a host of other destinations that you might want to visit that day to enjoy the park and to get those same vistas and experiences. So I think really embracing social media and working with those third-party apps that we know folks are using already could be a great tool for informing Canadians of all the many wonderful places that our country has to offer.
Yeah, show people what's out there, make that the new spot to be. Here's my tip for anybody traveling to Alberta. I always tell them, if you can, take the extra time, drive up to Jasper. It's worth it.
Totally.
Thanks, Claire Jane.
Have a great day.
You too.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.